Welcome back, students of maritime law. Let's jump right into today's explainer. We're putting on our legal detective hats to dissect a highly complex, real-world shipping liability conundrum, and we're going to do it step by step. We'll be breaking down a fascinating scenario as is, examining the exact legal mechanics that govern the high seas. If you've ever found yourself wondering exactly what happens when massive vessels meet catastrophic ends, and that multi-million-dollar blame game kicks off, well, you are in the exact right place. So grab your notes because class is in session.
So, picture this exam question. A massive, devastating storm rolls through and leaves a wrecked vessel absolutely stranded right in the middle of a busy port fairway. The ship is a total loss. The primary insurer has essentially just walked away from the physical wreck, and meanwhile, the local port authority is banging on the ship owner's door, aggressively demanding an immediate cleanup. And let's be clear about why they're demanding this. The wreck is a massive environmental hazard leaking oil, and it's physically blocking a crucial, multi-billion-dollar trade route. Literally every single hour counts here. So who actually pays for this monumental task? Is the owner just left holding the bag alone, or is there some hidden safety net? To answer this, we're going to analyze the situation methodically.
To put some real numbers to this and make the stakes crystal clear, let's say our ship is worth $10 million on paper. But, and here's the kicker, the storm damage is so catastrophic that repairing it is going to cost a staggering $12 million. From a purely economic standpoint, fixing this vessel makes absolutely zero sense, right? This introduces a really vital legal distinction between a physical loss and an economic one. The ship owner looks at these numbers and says, yep, this ship is a lost cause. But, as we're about to see in our step-by-step analysis, acknowledging a massive financial loss and legally escaping the consequences of that loss are two very different things in maritime law.
Now, we can't really answer our overarching question until we build up our foundational knowledge. So, here's our syllabus for today's masterclass. We'll look at the wreck removal conundrum, define constructive total loss, examine the notice of abandonment, compare H&M versus P&I insurance, and then, finally, we'll deliver our legal verdict.
All right, Section 1, the wreck removal conundrum. Let's lay out the exact facts of the case we need to solve today.
So here's the situation as is. Our ship owner is completely stuck. The Port Authority, they're demanding immediate wreck removal to avoid severe financial penalties and massive traffic disruptions. But his primary hull insurer is flat out refusing to take ownership of the wreck or help with the cleanup in any way. The owner is literally caught between a rock, the Port Authority's non-negotiable demands, and a hard place, his hull insurer's legal right of refusal. The core question we must resolve is this. Can the ship owner actually take assistance from his P&I club for the wreck removal under these very specific circumstances?
Moving on to Section 2, constructive total loss. Before we drag the insurers into this, we really need to understand the legal status of the ship itself. Now, constructive total loss, or CTL, is absolutely foundational here. It happens when the cost of fixing a ship or recovering one that's missing or captured exceeds its insured value. The main takeaway for you guys? A ship doesn't have to literally be sitting on the ocean floor to be a total loss. It just has to be mathematically pointless to save. If it costs $12 million to fix a $10 million asset, the law officially recognizes it as a CTL.
To see this step-by-step in a real world, let's look at a classic classroom example, the MV Pivot grounding near Goa back in 2010. Following some incredibly rough weather, marine assessors were brought in. They spent weeks painstakingly analyzing the structural damage. And they ultimately concluded that, hey, while the ship was physically intact above water, pulling it off that beach and repairing the massive hull breaches would cost way more than the ship was actually worth. It wasn't completely destroyed, no, but fixing it was pure financial suicide. Consequently, months later, it was legally classified as a textbook constructive total loss. Our hypothetical exam question operates on this exact same legal premise. Okay, Section 3, Notice of Abandonment. Now that our ship is mathematically a lost cause, what legal mechanism does the owner actually use to wipe their hands of it?
Well, they use the Notice of Abandonment, or NOA. Think of this as the formal legal handover of the vessel from the ship owner to their primary insurer, known as the Hull and Machinery, or H&M insurer, following that constructive total loss we just talked about. The owner is essentially stepping up and saying, I'm offering to give this wreck up to you, the insurer. Please pay me my policy. But class, pay attention here, because this isn't just handing over the keys to a broken car. It is a formal offer to transfer all liabilities along with the physical property itself, and the insurer's response to this offer changes the entire game.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. If the insurer accepts the NOA, they take ownership of the wreck, deal with the whole messy cleanup, and pay the owner the full insured value. Clean break. But why on earth might an insurer reject it? Well, here's the secret. H&M insurers routinely reject NOAs specifically because if they accept ownership of that physical wreck, they are also accepting the unlimited multi-million-dollar liability of cleaning it up. They would much rather just pay out the $10 million policy limit and walk away entirely. In our specific case, the insurer rejects the NOA, pays the CTL claim, but, and here's the crucial part, leaves the physical wreck as the legal property of the ship owner. So, the owner gets their $10 million, sure, but they are still legally stuck with a massive, rusting piece of metal blocking a busy port.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 4, H&M versus P&I insurance. Let's look at these two massive pillars of maritime insurance, because they cover entirely different things.
We have to draw a hard line between these two. Hull and machinery covers physical damage to the ship itself. A storm breaks the hull, H&M pays for it. But it explicitly excludes third-party liabilities. Protection and indemnity, or P&I, on the other hand, specifically steps in to cover those exact third-party liabilities that H&M ignores. And note that P&I is a mutual insurance club. That means ship owners are literally pooling their money together to mutually protect each other against catastrophic business-ending risks. Think of it like this. H&M is your collision coverage for the car itself, while the P&I club is your liability coverage for the damage you might cause to others.
Let's walk through this step by step. What exactly does P&I cover? Cargo damage? Sure. Crew injury or death? Definitely. Catastrophic oil pollution? Collision liability? But look closely at that very first bullet point. Wreck removal costs. This is the exact mechanism designed for our scenario. P&I exists to indemnify the ship owner against demands from third parties, like say a port authority demanding a fairway be immediately cleared.
And that leads us to Section 5, the final legal verdict. Class, we've gathered all our evidence, and we're finally ready to pass judgment.
Let's map this legal matrix out step by step. Ship damage repair, that falls under the H&M insurer. The CTL claim payment, because the ship is mathematically ruined, also the H&M insurer. But the wreck removal demanded by the port, because the port's demand to remove the wreck is a third-party liability, and crucially, because the H&M underwriter legally rejected the abandonment, leaving the owner holding the physical wreck, that liability squarely and perfectly falls into the P&I column.
So, the verdict? It's a resounding yes. The ship owner absolutely can, without a doubt, take assistance from their P&I club for this wreck removal. As scholars of maritime law, we can see that the law operates on very exact definitions. Because the H&M insurer formally rejected the physical wreck, the third-party liability shield of the P&I club legally activates. This entirely vindicates the ship owner's right to call up their P&I club to handle the massive cleanup bill that their hull insurer was legally allowed to just ignore.
I hope this explainer demystified the whole maze of maritime law for you today, breaking it down step by step. When you realize that standard ship insurance doesn't even cover the most catastrophic third-party damages, it really leaves you wondering just how fragile the legal architecture of global trade actually is. Think about it. If a single storm can trigger millions in uninsurable liabilities under standard policies, are these mutual P&I clubs the true hidden lifeblood keeping the entire shipping industry afloat? It's definitely something to ponder next time you see a massive freighter out on the horizon. Until next time, keep analyzing, keep questioning, and class dismissed.